hello everyone, it is the Media Gaming with on, and today, well, the FTC Microsoft deal has finally officially closed, in accordance to everything else ever. Now, there are a number of little details we are going to go through here, but we'll go through a first, overall, amazing thing of how this history kind of started. About a couple years ago, Microsoft announced there was an acquisition of the ABK merger that was coming into the entire world, and they were offering out contracts to people for 10 years. Sony denied that contract, went to the CMA, and then they got investigated. And they have been non-stop fighting for a bunch of fucking years and a bunch of fucking times that the entirety of the gaming industry has kind of been slowly but surely obsessed with any major development of this thing. It kind of was always in the under rumblings of everything, but it wasn't until recently that the entire FTC deal just kind of went through, because literally everyone and their mother agreed that this actually, was a thing that existed, except for one except for one group individually, and that would be, well, the Sony fanboys and the Sony elite. Obviously, not too happy about it. So over the times they've said, like, oh, this deal will never go through, this deal will never go through, but guess what? It has gone through, and also, the CMA kind of is now backtracking on their decision. They originally denied it, but everywhere else decided to do it, and then the FTC vehemently lost the argument that they actually, tried to do, and they got verbally fucking roasted in the entirety of the open stage or open forum of the US Senate. Jesus Christ. Things have been going smoothly. Now the CMA is kind of going back into talks with Sony, or not Sony, but Microsoft. And Sony has now gone into talks about possibly accepting the Call of Duty deal they were originally offered. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, continuing on, we're going to look at some of the tweets from over the time that the FTC has done so, and go through some of the histories of the little Twitter fight that has been breaking out over a number of the times here. I'm not going to go over every single tweet. There's one tweet in particular that I want to kind of break off into its own mini video, because I just think it was a really interesting talking point, and it was a very fucking stupid-ass tweet. But we continue and we move on. So, some of the first things that we have here in the good old folder, we don't have much because I don't want to make this video too long. I've been recording like this a number of times. But the myth of equal acquisitions. This is one of these ones where this was tweeted out alongside of it. This was actually found on Facebook by another dude who was trying to say that the acquisition of this has never been on this scale before. And that's true. That's because Microsoft wasn't playing serious. But they now are. But the thing about this list is that it's also not only not completely accurate, but it's also, what I can tell, incomplete in several aspects. From what you can see that PlayStation has made about 15-ish acquisitions from what I can see. I think I counted about 17 of them. You can pause the video and talk about and look about it yourself. All these acquisitions are mostly correct, and most of the stuff is accurate. But they don't actually list off Xbox, one of Xbox's biggest first-party purchases being Moshe. Of course, they also list off the Bethesda, ABK, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, blah, 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 blah. And all of those games that existed on other platforms, it kind of goes to show you the differences as to the wallets of PlayStation versus Xbox. PlayStation has made, again, 17 acquisitions, whereas Microsoft has only made 7, and yet PlayStation is still in the lead. Regardless of anything else, if you're going for quantity, PlayStation has more acquisitions in terms of this list. But if you're going for quality, or we'll quote-unquote call it quality, whatever you want to exist, then Xbox has you beat, unfortunately. But again, Minecraft isn't on here, and yet Bungie still permanently remaining a multi-plat, which was probably in the contract. They don't list Microsoft or Motion, which is also permanently a multi-plat, so long as it's being offered and stuff. I mean, again, PlayStation. I always say this: PlayStation was the last one to get that whole thingamawhat's or the whole crossplay thing. Moving on, Xbox finally got some games from good old J-Dub. You will be seeing a lot of J-Dub in this video. Congratulations. You'll go into the Hall of Fame of being an absolute just weirdo person. Next up, we have Jim Ryan and PlayStation fans. This actually is really good. This aged really well. Jim Ryan and PlayStation fans really they should have assigned the 10-year Xbox Activision Call of Duty deal months ago. Yeah, again, given recent news that Sony is now actually in talks of signing this, now that the acquisition actually has gone through, they're like, okay, we'll play nice. So, yay. And then Xbox fans realizing that COD will never be an exclusive and that their favorite company just wasted a shit ton of money to get it on Game Pass. Kind of worth it, in my opinion, because a lot of those games will still be available on all sorts of other platforms and might actually come down in price finally on PC and be available in more places. Just saying. Oh yeah, there's the next tweet. You can skip on past that, as that will probably be at the top of the video. Next up, we have a few people talking about the console, about a quote-unquote console monopoly, and Microsoft monopoly, and Microsoft don't take L's. Okay, cool. I mean, Cam, whoever this Cam fellow is, you're kind of doing a little bit of God's work here, trolling interesting people on the internet. You can kind of skip past on that. Again, trying to keep this video concise. We have the breaking news that the U.S. Court of Activision Blizzard loses to the FTC. Story incoming. This is again taken from that time. And then we have this person who is an absolute genius, apparently, saying, I can't believe the Microsoft strategy of we're so pathetic and small and can never hope to beat a horrid Japanese menace without buying every single major Western studio actually worked. No. There was a lot of other things out there that were actually talked about in this case. You just haven't seemed to have kept up with it. But again, we move on. Again, other salty people. Ah, yes, the pinned J-Dub tweet. I don't know why I saved this one, but I think that this was because later on they'll say, like, oh, this will always be within the same vein. I think I have that here as well. That they will always remember their place. So this was kind of a pinned tweet that J-Dub has had, because later he also said something along the lines of, I'm now glad that Xbox actually has some games. I thought that they were going to lose. Well, you're an idiot. You flip-flopped, apparently, but whatever. Moving on. Next up, this one's the automated tweet that I somehow keep putting here for some reason. And then we have the good old man, the Red Dragon. Fantastic. FTC says in the coming days they will be announcing the next step in continuing the fight. Disappointed at the decision of the judge whose son works for Microsoft. Yeah, the Red Dragon was tweeting out a lot about the fact that the son of the judge that was overseeing this case essentially worked for Microsoft. Now, we don't know the position of that. It never came up in the trial, and at the very minimum in this context is irrelevant. Like, even in the court of law, this is irrelevant. There is no relevancy to that to even consider making it a biased opinion. There is no way that her son is that high on Microsoft to actually influence her decision, nor I don't think that she would care about her son's job more than just saying, oh, you work for Microsoft, I'm actually working on that case. Plus, at the same time, again, it makes no fucking sense and is irrelevant at worst, or at best, superfluous. I think that that's the right meaning of that word. But yeah, that's still stupid. But there's a political article. Again, I'm not going to read the whole article here. If you want to go and read it, pause the video and check it out yourself. Moving on. Ah, yes. Saltiest gaming himself. So I have this one where he says that he's back, and what did he miss? He has the audacity to come back after he actually deleted his Twitter. No, I'm serious. He actually deleted his Twitter. MPG, I think, also threatened to delete his Twitter. I don't know if he actually deleted his Twitter. Nor do I care, because he was still tweeting out when I last talked about him, or when I last saw him doing things. But Mr. Salt King just deactivated his Twitter for like a day, and then came back like, what happened here? Kind of like poking your head back in after doing stuff. Then he also has another thing to say, Xbots celebrating the Microsoft Activision deal going through, even when it means Microsoft will be full third party within 5 years. COD will be ruined like Halo, and hashtag Game Pass won't be sustainable without major changes. It's over. even though it's been proven that this actually is pretty sustainable, and the fact that they will be releasing Call of Duty on other platforms is going to make them even more money, and the fact that they also have things like the mobile division, King, and things like that will make them even more fucking money. I mean, bro, it's not just all about Call of Duty. There's a lot of other things to this ABK deal that will basically fund Microsoft for the foreseeable future, and a lot of those games will eventually become first-party games, or at least come to associated with first-party games. But at the same time, you wouldn't clearly understand that because you just only care about the Sony and the Pox that you kind of care about. Next up, we have more of the Red Dragon. Oh boy, I forgot about this. So Xbox actually had a sale on a lot of the Call of Duty games on their platform in a way to celebrate it as a marketing move to get people more back into it. I will also like to mention that they fixed a lot of the old servers for Black Ops and the other older Call of Duties to the point of where even on things like I think the console, they peaked at over 100,000 players concurrently because of this sale and because of the fact that they actually fixed the fucking games. Congratulations, you actually know how to support your games long term, apparently. It's fucking stupid that he's even says that. He's saying, like, they're trying to squeeze every bit of juice, knowing that the sales will absolutely crater. No, probably not. I mean, maybe it's just to get some extra money flowing through in this context. I mean, yeah, certainly, but that's what a lot of sales are meant to do. It's meant to drop the price, so you actually tend to make more money off of this thing. But again, if they really wanted to be this way, they could have just kept it the way that it was, and people probably would have done that. I would also like to mention at this point as well, as soon as the ABK deal and stuff kind of happened, the stock prices of both Activision and I think Microsoft jumped up, whereas Sony's actually jumped down. Again, that was the day of the actual tweet and stuff, but we continue. Moving on. Oh, wait, this is the one I wanted to break off into its own video. I need to save this again to another thing. But this is the one I wanted to break off, where Activision shouldn't have pulled Call of Duty from Steam. This is more of a trailer for probably the next video. I looked through this one. This guy's point makes no fucking sense for a number of reasons. But to give the TLDR, Activision pulled Call of Duty before the announcement of anything having to do with the actual ABK deal, right? They pulled it to try to put it off to get more money out of it, but they ended up losing money because of the fact that they didn't realize how active and big Steam was at the time, because people are trying to move away from Steam. People are still trying to move away from Steam, technically, but Steam is in a position where they just don't care. If they want competition, they will organically have the other competition grow. They don't hold you accountable to your stuff like that. They really don't, unless it's their own first-party stuff, or whatever. Next up, we have J-Dub again. My God, this man just keeps popping up all the way. When you championed a $70 billion corporate business deal and still wake up with no games. When you champion anti-consumer practices and still have to pay full price for the same games that some people can get on sale for like $10. Next up, we have the Red Dragon again. This is another important tweet where Xbox fans said that the Call of Duty is coming to the Nintendo Switch only because of the Microsoft Activision, hence it means more players. Problem is, they promised it to the new Nintendo product, not the current one. Now, this actually kind of means that the next Nintendo product does technically exist, and it's technically been under some sort of review at this point. Unsure as to where it goes. They testified that they regarded skipping Switch and Activision would look to putting COD on the new Nintendo device regardless of Microsoft buying them. That's actually kind of true, and it actually kind of makes sense. Because, again, Call of Duty and all those other games are super, super, uber powerful and would practically melt the Switch. I think that some people would be like, oh, they might just downgrade it to a complete, another degree of complete nonsense and stuff, but I think that at least they will put some of the older games that they can at least run on the Switch, on the PlayStation, on the Sony, on the Nintendo Switch. Jesus Christ. And it's committed to bring Call of Duty to an in-development Switch model. Ooh. Doing some of Nintendo's marketing for them. Excellent. So it does at least mean that there's another Switch, or Switch-like thing on the way. Hopefully it'll be more powerful. Good for them. Next up, oh yeah, this person here just thinks like Call of Duty looking at PlayStation where they can't actually live without PlayStation. Sony had to bend the knee, right? They had to bend the knee and actually do the thing they wanted to do. Like they should have just taken the deal and just been off with it, but whatever. Like, again, now that Microsoft actually owns Call of Duty, I think it's more of like PlayStation looking to Call of Duty, whereas they are first-party bangers that they still have but don't seem to be getting the same amount of attention that they actually once did. So I think this meme is a little bit not correct. Oh, yes, and then there's, of course, the final thing here that I have, which is the actual article. Again, if you want to look this up, I will leave this up here. I've mentioned this before, but they have agreed to the binding agreement of Microsoft to keep Xbox Call of Duty on PlayStation. So, fantastic. So, all's well that ends well, pretty much. Everyone who called it being an actual thing, excellence. Good on you, good on you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone here, you did a great and amazing job. Y'all are just sometimes freaking stupid. In any case, though, I think that'll about do it for this video. Again, this is more of a quick fire one to kind of get the history out of the way. Some of those tweets were older, some of those tweets were younger, just whenever I had them. But that Call of Duty spin-off tweet, I wanted to make its own mini video. I'll probably make it into a short or something, or if not, it'll be a video that I release Friday, because I think that it's just a good talking point to really talk about, and I wanted to discuss it more. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this video. My name is GamePing21. If you want to support me, please do so with the links in the description. Patreon, Gumroad, my music stuff, all linked down in the description below. And follow me on Twitter and other things like that. But in any case, thank you so much for watching, and a peace off.
Hey man, can I get a favor? Yeah, sure, I know, see you later. Sometimes I just wanna be a